Your heart beats around 100,000 times a day. It pumps blood through your body, delivering oxygen to every organ, every cell, every nerve, and most of the time, we take it for granted. But what happens if it suddenly stops? If your heart were to completely stop pumping blood, even for just 5 minutes, your body would enter a race against time, one that most of us would lose without immediate intervention. Today, we're diving deep into the science, the consequences, and the life-or-death stakes of cardiac arrest. First, let's understand what it means for the heart to stop. Medically, this is called cardiac arrest. It's not the same as a heart attack, although the two are often confused. A heart attack, or myocardial infarction, occurs when blood flow to a part of the heart is blocked. The heart muscle itself is damaged, but it can often keep beating. Cardiac arrest, on the other hand, is when the electrical signals that make the heartbeat fail, or the heart mechanically fails to pump effectively. In simple terms, the heart stops working. When that happens, blood stops circulating. Oxygen isn't delivered, organs begin to fail, and the clock starts ticking. The first organ affected is the brain. The brain is incredibly sensitive to oxygen deprivation. Even though it only accounts for about 2% of body weight, it consumes roughly 20% of the body's oxygen. Within 10 seconds of your heart stopping, brain cells begin to notice the shortage. Within 1 minute, electrical activity in your brain begins to decline. By the 3-minute mark, neurons, the cells that make thought, movement, and memory possible, start dying. And by 5 minutes, severe, often irreversible brain damage is likely to occur. This is why in cardiac emergencies, every second counts. What happens to the rest of your body during those 5 minutes? Your tissues rely on oxygen delivered by blood. Without it, they begin to switch to a form of metabolism called anaerobic metabolism, which doesn't require oxygen but produces far less energy. Muscles become weak, organs falter. Waste products like lactic acid build up, causing acidosis, which further damages cells. Your kidneys, liver, and digestive system all start to fail. But the brain is the most sensitive. Neurons die quickly, and even after circulation is restored, the effects can be catastrophic. Now here's where it gets both fascinating and terrifying. Some people have actually survived much longer than 5 minutes without a heartbeat. In rare cases, extreme cold can slow the body's metabolism enough to protect the brain. For example, a person who falls into icy water can sometimes survive 20 or more minutes before resuscitation, thanks to the cold-preserving oxygen levels and slowing cell death. But under normal body temperature, the 5-minute mark is a critical threshold. After 5 minutes without a heartbeat, survival is possible, but it often comes with severe neurological damage. Let's break down what happens minute by minute if your heart stops. Minute 1. Your blood pressure drops instantly. Oxygen levels begin to fall. You may feel dizzy or lose consciousness almost immediately. Minute 2. Brain function starts declining. You lose awareness. Your skin may begin to pale or take on a bluish hue due to lack of oxygen. Minute 3. Vital organs begin shutting down. The electrical activity in your brain shows serious signs of distress. Without intervention, neurons begin dying. Minute 4. Heart muscles themselves start to become starved of oxygen. If circulation is restored, the heart may be prone to arrhythmias, dangerous irregular rhythms that can prevent effective pumping. Minute 5. Brain damage becomes likely to be irreversible. Survival without medical intervention is extremely rare. So what can save someone during these 5 critical minutes? Cardiopulmonary resuscitation, or CPR, is the most effective first response. CPR doesn't restart the heart. It manually circulates blood through the body, keeping oxygen moving to the brain and vital organs. Chest compressions mimic the pumping action of the heart, while rescue breaths provide oxygen. Even compression-only CPR has been shown to dramatically improve survival rates in adults. But timing is critical. The earlier CPR begins, the better the chances of survival and recovery. Defibrillators are another life-saving tool. In many cases of cardiac arrest, the heart's electrical system is in chaos. This is called ventricular fibrillation, where the heart quivers ineffectively instead of pumping. A defibrillator delivers an electric shock to the heart, resetting its rhythm so it can beat normally again. Automatic external defibrillators, AEDs, are widely available in public spaces and can be used by bystanders, often making the difference between life and death. But what if resuscitation is delayed? Even if the heart is restarted after 5 minutes, the brain may have suffered permanent damage. Patients may survive, but with severe cognitive impairment, memory loss, motor dysfunction, or even a persistent vegetative state. This is why advanced hospitals use therapies like therapeutic hypothermia, where the patient's body temperature is lowered to slow brain metabolism and reduce damage after cardiac arrest. Interestingly, our bodies have a few built-in protections against brief interruptions of blood flow. The heart itself has residual oxygen reserves, and the blood contains hemoglobin that can supply tissues for a few seconds. Some organs, like the kidneys and liver, can tolerate short periods of low oxygen better than the brain. Even muscles can survive briefly in anaerobic metabolism, but the brain's sensitivity is unmatched, making it the true clock in cardiac emergencies. Now, let's explore what happens on a cellular level. When oxygen supply stops, mitochondria, the power plants of cells, fail to produce energy. Cells switch to anaerobic metabolism, producing far less ATP, which is the energy currency cells use to function. Waste products like lactic acid accumulate, causing acidosis, which destabilizes cellular structures. If oxygen isn't restored quickly, cell membranes rupture, neurons die, and organ systems begin irreversible failure. This is why the 5-minute window is so critical. It's essentially the time limit for preventing widespread cellular death in the brain. There's also a fascinating phenomenon called the Lazarus effect. In rare cases, people whose hearts have stopped for several minutes have spontaneously regained circulation after resuscitation efforts seemed futile. Doctors have recorded cases of patients coming back after being declared clinically dead. While these cases are exceptional, they show that the human body sometimes defies expectations, though survival without brain damage remains unlikely after 5 minutes. What about the heart itself? Even though the primary concern is brain damage, the heart doesn't escape unscathed. During cardiac arrest, heart muscles are starved of oxygen. If blood flow isn't restored quickly, the heart tissue can die, resulting in heart failure or arrhythmias. This is why treatment after resuscitation often includes monitoring for heart damage, medications to stabilize rhythm, and sometimes even procedures like angioplasty if a blocked artery caused the arrest. There's also a psychological and near-death aspect to consider. Some patients who survive cardiac arrest report near-death experiences, including feelings of floating, seeing tunnels of light, or even encounters with deceased relatives. While these experiences are still debated scientifically, they suggest that during the first moments of oxygen deprivation, the brain can produce vivid perceptions before shutting down entirely. This adds another layer to understanding the human experience during cardiac arrest. So what are the real chances of survival if your heart stops? Statistics vary depending on location and immediate response. In public places with rapid CPR and defibrillation, survival rates can be as high as 50 to 70% for initial resuscitation. In homes or areas without immediate help, survival drops below 10%. Survival after 5 minutes without intervention is extremely low. Even when patients survive, neurological outcomes depend on speed and quality of care. It's important to understand that every second counts. That's why public awareness campaigns emphasize CPR training, early defibrillation, and calling emergency services immediately. A bystander can literally double or triple a person's chances of survival before paramedics arrive. Modern medicine has made incredible advances in treating cardiac arrest. Hospitals now have advanced life support teams, cooling therapies, and post-resuscitation care units. Yet despite all the technology, the human body remains fragile. 5 minutes without a heartbeat at normal body temperature is a boundary. Cross it, and the risks of permanent brain injury or death skyrocket. So what can we take away from this? First, your heart is more than just a pump, it's the engine of life. Second, cardiac arrest is sudden, dangerous, and time-critical. Third, immediate intervention, CPR, defibrillation, and emergency care can save lives and prevent permanent damage. And finally, the human body has limits. Even a few minutes without circulation can cause irreparable harm. Understanding these limits doesn't just give us knowledge, it gives us power. Power to act, power to train, power to save lives. In conclusion, if your heart stops for 5 minutes, your brain begins dying within minutes. Organs fail as oxygen disappears. Cells switch to inefficient metabolism, producing harmful waste. Without immediate intervention, death or severe neurological damage is almost certain. CPR and defibrillation are critical within the first few minutes. Your heart is life, and every beat matters. The story of cardiac arrest teaches us something profound. Life is fragile, yet it is also resilient. A single human can survive the impossible with rapid intervention. And understanding what happens when the heart stops gives us a deeper appreciation for the amazing machinery that keeps us alive every second of every day.